to be able to have conversations with you again and talk about topics that affect us as trans people. Most of us starting our journeys, right? Who is my target market. But also, I understand that there are many trans folks who are also watching. Thank you so much for being here. Please continue sharing with me your thoughts and things that you would like to see us impart onto the people who are stepping into their authenticity at this point of their lives. I am so grateful that you're also watching, as well as allies. I understand that there are a lot of family members who are coming on and listening to the topics and learning, which at the end of the day is the goal, right? The goal is, how can we have honest conversations about something that impacts us as trans people, but as it impacts us, it also impacts everyone around us, our families, our friends. So welcome to the conversation. And let's create spaces where trans people, we are 2% of society here in the United States, and not all spaces feel safe, not all spaces feel welcoming, and any time that anybody can extend a space that is comforting and affirming is a beautiful thing. So thank you so much for allies, trans community members, and to those stepping into their authenticity. So today we're going to talk about navigating a non-affirmative society. It's going to manifest itself in so many different ways. We already hear so many things that invalidate our existence when we turn on the news, or when we hear our elected officials taking some of our rights, or attempting in some cases to take our rights away. I know that every state is different at the moment, and that a lot of trans people are feeling afraid, myself included, about what it looks like to exist in a world that would rather us live under the radar, or in the shadows, which is something that I don't want to live in the shadows. And I don't think that I should have to live in the shadows. I should be able to, I deserve to be able to live beautifully and magically like any other citizen of the world. I should have access to all things magic, right? But I find that sometimes, whether I want it, or I have the confidence, or I have done the work to battle doubt and insecurities, I have encountered moments that have been very non-affirming, and thus causing me a lot of dysphoria or pain in some instances. I'm going to use something as an example because it happened days ago, and it was just so disheartening. I am, well into my transition. I'm not as far into my transition as so many other people are. Like, there's some other things that I would like to kind of work on in the process to becoming the very best version of myself that I want to be, right? Because everybody's transition looks different. And I encountered a situation that left me flabbergasted. I didn't know how to react, and I'm pretty like witty, and I can come back with many different things in a way that are lighthearted and fun, and yet I still just felt I was just in disbelief that it happened in the way that it did. So here I am. You see what I look like? I was pretty much in a version of this. I had a cute little jumper on, a side braid, and I went out to dinner with a friend who super awesome, very comfortable with who I am, which he should be, right? And as we're talking to the owner of the restaurant, he goes, "Okay, gentlemen, it was nice talking to you." And I was like, what? Like, I just didn't even know what to say. And neither did my friends. And, I did not feel, I didn't feel insecurity about me being the woman that I am, because I am, right? Being a trans woman is being a woman. I am a woman of trans experience. I'm not a cis woman. And that's okay. I'm not trying to be a cis woman. I think that so often there's a narrative that we're trying to erase womanhood, and that's not the case at all. There are beautiful, magical things that cis women have brought into this world, and I want them to be celebrated for it. And, we owe them life. For me, that's one of my very favorite things about cis women, about my mother, and specifically, she gave me life. The biggest and most magical gift that I have ever received came from a cis woman. And I think that so often there's this narrative that people want to push out to put us against each other. But heading back to the interaction at the restaurant, and I'm also very fortunate that I was with a friend that was comfortable enough to understand the nuances of what was going on, Also understand that as a trans woman, I am a woman, the utmost respect, and such a gracious and kind friend. As well he should be, because that's what friends should be to each other. But I wish that this business owner would have, at the very least, said, "I'm sorry," right? But he didn't, and it's okay. And I sat with myself, because I can't force anybody to be something that they can't be. But I have to make sure that I can navigate the emotions that come along with it. And there were so many emotions that came along with it, even this far into transition, even with, the years of training that I have done. It sucked. It sucked so much. I felt violated in a way that I don't fully know how to explain, I'm accustomed to microaggressions and to micro-violence, but when it comes out of the blue in the ways that this happened to come out, I had to process it. And I said, how many of us experience that violence, right? The denial of being, the denial of our existence, every single day. Let alone saying in the beginning, when we're still trying to figure all of the things out. I think that it was easier, right? Because I hadn't stepped into truth physically. I did my social transition before I did my medical and my physical transition, where I started looking different and so on and so forth, and all of the stages to come along. I think that I made space for it because I was like, I just want this to go under the radar and go as softly and smoothly as I could. And I also was navigating through all of the people pleasing that I had acquired throughout the years, right? Because that's a side effect of living in a non-affirming world, society, community. You always feel like you need to make, or at least I felt that I had to make those around me comfortable, and I don't owe that to anybody. I don't owe their comfort. I can just exist. But in the beginnings, I remember not being able to, like, if somebody misgendered me after I had already expressed that I'm stepping into this, new world, or new version, or true version of myself, not even new version, a true version of myself, and then they would call me he, or they would dead name me after I had that conversation with them. I was like, you know what? I'm going to allow them to call me whatever it is that they want to call me, and I'm not going to allow them to weaponize my existence by getting sad or getting angry, or at least visibly sad or visibly angry. I had no control. Even back then, I knew I had no control over that. But then, when I got more comfortable in my skin, when I acquired the knowledge and understanding that I am a valuable person and that I deserve to be seen for who I am, it was easy to kind of like start weeding out people in my life. There was the people who wanted me to like sell myself as a human, where I would have to put on this performance piece in order to remind them that I'm human. It's literally one of my least favorite things in the whole entire world, and there are those people. I got to a point a couple of years into my social transition where I didn't entertain that, or I stopped entertaining it as much, I should say. And now, so many years into transition, I don't make a lot of space for people who invalidate my existence. Like that. It's not the way I want to live my life. So some of the ways that I navigate being misgendered, I don't correct people. I think that's the way that I handle it. And then I weed out people accordingly. There are some people that are worth having the conversation with, and then there are those people that are not. And some of those people I cannot get rid of in my life, and some of those people I can. And the ones that I can, it has been nice knowing you. And that's it, So, especially for somebody who's just starting in their journey, take your time. Take your time with social transition. I know that, once we figure out who we are, sometimes, not when we figure out, but when we're able to actually put it into words, we want to be able to scream it from the mountains or share it with anybody who would hear. But the reality is that our emotions, they're worth like taking care of and keeping safe. There are some things that we're not going to be able to control our emotions for. They're just going to happen. And unfortunately, living in a non-affirming society, there's going to be moments that are going to break your heart over and over again. And that's okay. I wish that I can give you the perfect handbook that would tell you exactly how to maneuver through an unaffirming society, country, community, village, family. But I can't. What I can say to you is that you exist. You are of value. You are who you say you are. You have accepted yourself, right? You have literally saved yourself from a life of living in shadows. And you had already done that for so long. And inside, you were like, I need to, for me. So live. Live beautifully, live magically. Be everything that you want to be. Life is one, as far as I know, right? I could be proven wrong. But in the meantime, while you're here, choose yourself, validate yourself, find community, you know, find a support group. There are so many in this country, you know, in pretty much every single Pride Center that exists, there is a trans support group. And building community is extremely important. Being able to bounce thoughts and feelings and to be able to say, I'm angry and I'm sad and I'm hurt and I feel betrayed and I feel alone. All of those things are valid. You know, build a community that you can turn to and say these things to, and that they can turn around and say, yeah, me too. Because so many of us experience the betrayal of society, the rejection, and we have received the cold shoulder of a community not ready to accept that. And that's what I got for you today. My peace has become the most important thing for me. It has become how I navigate, how I make decisions. And, you know, there are some things that for me are worth fighting for, and there are some things that are not. Being misgendered by somebody who should know better, you know? Yeah, it's a little shocking and gives me pause. But in reflection, I know who I am. You know, people will figure out their stuff or they won't. But I don't have to be the teacher. I've done that for far too long. And neither do you. You don't have to educate. You don't have to now become the educator to the people around you. But there are ways that you're able to navigate your peace. And that is the biggest priority, I believe, is just navigate your peace. You deserve that. There's going to be a million and one other things that we're going to have to worry about. And thinking about one person who doesn't really matter, misgendering, or 10 people or 20 people who don't really matter misgendering you should be one of them. I believe you when you tell me who you are. For the love of us. Mwah. I'll see you guys soon.